Hokage I can fully level up with one click. Chapter 181-200. Chapter 181 Silent Murder Technique. Outside Konoha Shinobi Village, the forest of the Land of Fire. The three figures passed by quickly, and a large number of insects and birds chirped. "Sir, are we going to carry out a counter-ambush?" There was a hint of excitement on the ghost shark's face, recalling the shocking blow just now. The rebelliousness in his heart was obviously gone. He just knew that this blow went down. He will definitely come through a hole like a barrier. "No, our first priority now is to find a foothold and start the final plan." Chin turned his head and glanced behind him. Biwa Juzo was startled and said, "Sir, are there any pursuers?" "It's all right, let's move on and meet the others first." Other people. Ghost Shark's expression was stagnant, and then a trace of excitement flashed on his face. "Sir, aren't the other people you mentioned very powerful?" For this question, Biwa Juzo also showed a hint of urgency. After all, the number of people in the team has increased, which means that the requirements for strength will be higher. Only with strong strength can you have a sense of existence. "It's okay, besides Kakuzu, who is in touch with you, there are 3 new members." Chinyu touched the tip of his nose. Because of his appearance, the plot of the original book was completely disrupted. So in terms of strength, there are also many changes. "It's here." Chinyu looked at the suddenly clear basin in front of him, and jumped out first. However, as soon as he walked out, a fiery wave of air rushed towards him. Yoden, lava style, Yanlong charge. Roar. A 100-meter giant dragon with lava flowing all over its body roared and rushed out of the forest. The violent scene made everyone's faces change dramatically. Raiden, thunder style, teleportation technique, Chinyu disappeared in place. The lava dragon failed directly, and then headed towards the ghost shark and Biwa Juzo. Suigen, water style, water dragon bullet. Ghost shark and Biwa Juzo shot in an instant, and under the flying magic seal, the free water around them condensed into 2 huge water dragons out of thin air. Boom! The high-temperature water vapor quickly evaporated, and the reversed air waves strangely covered the forest for hundreds of meters. Those who were in it, the nerves are directly tense. At this moment, there seemed to be a pair of eyes hidden in the darkness, staring straight at them. "Master Z, the other party seems to have reinforcements. This situation seems a little out of place. Shall we retreat?" A voice suddenly sounded in the fog. "HMPH, it's absolutely impossible for him to escape now. If he dares to betray the village of Iwagakure, he will have to pay a sufficient price." Lao Zi snorted coldly. "It seems that you have to pay the price first." Biwa Juzo's gloomy voice suddenly echoed. A ghostly figure flashed out behind him, and a tyrannical wind, even the steam mist that stirred up the anime sky, slashed directly to the ninja beside him. The ninja shrouded in the attack, his face changed drastically, and he didn't have time to think about it, and quickly raised the Kuwu block in his hand. Dang! The dull collision sound resounded like thunder, and the huge impact made the ninja's expression stagnate, his face full of disbelief. In the face of this heavy blow, the entire arm was snapped off, and at the same time, the broadsword slashed the head and neck with a slash like a thunderbolt. PFF'd. The hot blood splashed out, causing the faces of the ninjas who were back-to-back to change drastically. This is the silent killing technique in the blood fog. The person with sharp eyes was the first to exhale. "Yes, but it's a bit late to know now." The voice of the ghost shark suddenly came out, and the muscle of the shark in his hand was cut out at a tricky angle. Chapter 182's debut. PFF'd. The huge head was thrown directly, and the blood splashed down, straining the nerves of everyone in the field. He not only performed the powerful Suigen water-style ninjutsu, but also secretly performed the silent assassination technique with the help of water vapor. The series of attack methods are like flowing water, making people feel caught off guard. Lord Z. The expressions of the rest of the ninjas changed drastically, facing the unknown enemy, but it made them feel uneasy. Everyone, use futon wind style together. Old Z's face sank and he shouted angrily. After receiving the order, the ninjas apparently calmed down. Hands flying quickly, he performed futon wind style ninjutsu. Futon wind style Datapa great breakthrough. Quote. Futon wind style hurricane art. Futon wind style. A series of futon wind style ninjutsu rolled backwards around, and the trees were also cut off by the wind blade. The fog that shrouded the trees all around disappeared in an instant. However, they didn't wait for them to be happy. Looking at the figures that appeared around them, their expressions changed drastically. Lord Z, in addition to the 3 people just now, there are 3 more people. An Iwagakure said anxiously. It's the Kurigakure 7, the beheading sword Biwajuzo, and the new shark muscle Kisame Hoshigaki. Why are they here? Words were spit out, but when Iwagakure saw the last figure, his pupils shrank and his eye sockets almost split. Yes, it's the blood-colored Asura Uchiha Chinyu of Konoha Shinobi Village. How could he appear in this place? As soon as these words came out, all Iwagakure looked pale. In the Battle of Shinwu Kunchou, Uchiha Chinyu defeated the village of Iwagakure, but the story spread throughout the ninja world. Looking at the faces of different ninja villages, they gathered here. This combination, but people have a kind of intriguing feeling. Lord Z, are we going to retreat? An Iwagakure couldn't hold back his breath. HMPH, although I don't know why the ninjas from various villages gather here, but depending on where you stand, this group of people should follow your lead, right? Lao Zi looked at Chinyu and shouted sharply, this time, our target, but Deidara, as long as you hand him over, we'll go right away. What about my horse's head? Chinyu felt the sight around him, and reluctantly touched the tip of his nose. This can be said to be AC position debut, and even setting up a battle can't get rid of this kind of thinking. Although I don't know why the people of Iwagakure village appeared here. However, the man in his 30s in front of him still had a purple striped mark on the bridge of his nose. The chakra fluctuations exuded are obviously the 4-tailed Jinchuriki, column force Laozi of Iwagakure village. Originally, I was thinking about how to catch the tailed beast, but now it seems that during the war, the tailed beast weapon has obviously become the highest means of performing tasks. Directly sent to the door. This is enough to see that the village of Iwagakure values Deidara. However, now that Chinyu lacks the sealing technique for the tailed beast, even if he obtains the tailed beast, he may not be able to arrange it properly. Can we take harmony as the most precious thing, and let's be happy together? Chinyu glanced at the stubborn old Z and couldn't help but ask. Iwagakure heard this, the eyes of the crowd lit up. But Laozi gave a cold snort and shouted sharply, a group of rabble, as Iwagakure village, 4-tailed Jinchuriki column force, I will use the name of Yoden lava style Laozi to destroy all of you missing nin. Kill. You can go if you want, beat me, walk over the corpse, or wait to be the soul of the dead under my lava. Chapter 183 It's like peeing in comparison. Mad. Looking at the high spirits in front of him, one person wants to single out all the old purples. Chinyu was helpless. This horse riding is boring. If you put it in the original plot of more than 10 years, this is a show. Boss, this 4-tailed man, Jinchuriki column, is good at Yoden lava style and his methods are a bit tricky. We were besieged by a few people just now, but we couldn't tie him up. Kakuzu looked at Chinyu, and his face became more solemn. Once you cast Yoden lava style, he'll go underground, and it's going to be difficult to lock him down. Sasori, who can destroy the country once the 300 puppets are opened, also feels troublesome. Not to mention Hidan and Kakuzu. Don't worry, I have a way to deal with him. Chinyu patted Kakuzu on the shoulder. Let's wave as much as you like. As soon as these words fell, the eyes of those present couldn't help but light up. Deidara, who has always been crazy and suffocated with resentment, took the lead. Haha, I knew the boss had a way, then I let go and made a fuss. When I was in Iwagakure village, I was always aggrieved. Unbridled laughter, mixed with the taste of madness. Deidara jumped out, and the clay spiders hiding around quickly rushed towards Laozi and his party. Drink. Deidara backhanded the hand seal, and the clay spider exploded. Yoden, lava style, lava wall. Laozi roared angrily, and the molten walls on all sides condensed in an instant, blocking all the incoming explosions. Deidara, you really intend to betray the village of Iwagakure. Today, let me be Old Purple and wipe out all of you missing nin. Having said that, the lava on the surface of the Old Purple body rolled back and rushed out of the blast of air, opening the barrier, blocking them all, and delaying it for so long as enough. Roaring like thunder, Iwagakure scattered around, his expression condensed, and his hands quickly hand seal. Without any bells and whistles, he slammed directly to the ground. Doden, Earth style, Earth Ascension Barrier. The rolling yellow light, like a thin film, rolled back around, forming a huge encirclement. The half-kilometer radius was blocked as much as possible. Seeing that the formation of the barrier was completed, Laozi's face flashed a hint of abuse, and said with a big laugh, "Look, I will suppress you all here in the name of the four-tailed Jinchuriki column Li Laozi." Quote. Turning the seal for me to solve it. The Old Purple double surgery seal flew over, his eyes narrowed, and the Jinchuriki column force barrier in the body instantly broke a gap. Yuhi's tail beast clothing immediately formed covering the whole body. The blood-colored eyes and the pointed kiba give the impression that it is like a small-tailed beast. The ground beneath his feet was rapidly assimilated by the molten lava, and a large amount of lava bubbles emerged. Roar. Laozi let out a roar, and slammed his 4 feet down, like an arrow from the string, heading straight for Deidara. C2. Deidara is young, with fighting experience and madness, but it is revealed in her bones. The 2 big clay birds threw their hands straight out, bringing a strong wind towards Laozi. As soon as he got close, Deidara held the seal in his right hand. Drink. Boom. The 2 big clay birds exploded in response. In the rewinding flames, a figure rushed out. Just about 10 meters close to Deidara, 2 tails, like a pair of horses, went straight to catch Deidara. Successful. The Old Purple face was hideous. However, the next moment, I saw Deidara's body, with a strange posture, suddenly retreated from the grasp of the 2 big hands. Boom. The rock was crushed in response, and the scorching high temperature directly dissolved the target. Looking at this scene, the madness on Deidara's face also stagnated, showing a trace of fear. Little devil, don't mess around, wait for the boss's order, I won't save you next time. Sasori said indifferently. Just now, at the critical moment, he used the chakra wire to forcibly change Deidara's trajectory. Otherwise, the blow just now might be enough to injure Deidara, or even capture him alive. Master Z has the upper hand, and Jinchuriki column's powerful weapons are enough to fight against Yakun. As long as we keep the barrier well, this is catching turtles in the urn. An Iwagakure, who presided over the enchantment, had a flash of excitement on his face. However, just after the words fell, the words that came into his ears shook his nerves. Are you ready? Chinyu looked at the ghost shark, and the ethereal voice of the system flashed in his mind. Ding dong. Congratulations to the host, sweetened water style, great exploding water colliding wave is fully leveled with 1 click. Boss, can you really do that? Ghost Shark couldn't help asking. This sweetened water style great exploding water colliding wave but his trump card at the bottom of the box. In his situation, he also needs to rely on the chakra backfeeding of the shark muscle to be able to do it. Moreover, the difficulty of learning is no less than a forbidden technique. Right now, Chinyu was cramming his feet, trying to learn this great exploding water colliding wave, which is probably fantastic in the eyes of the ghost shark. HMPH, within the barrier, and in the form of my tailed beast coat, don't waste your energy struggling, just let me be obedient and capture it all. Laozi snorted coldly and slammed down on all four legs, obviously holding the mentality of catching the thief first and the king. Swept away violently towards Uchiha Chinyu. The violent scene made Kakuzu and others nervous, and looked at Chinyu with a hint of urgency. He just didn't dare to act rashly without an order. Go! Chinyu's eyes narrowed, and Tomo Sharingan quickly spread out, his hands flying like windmills. The speed is so fast that it is dazzling. Especially the ghost shark, looking at Chinyu who was asking him for the Sweden water-style great exploding water colliding wave just now, the speed and proficiency of hand seal completely overwhelmed him. This is too shocking. Ghost shark, hurry up and don't delay the boss's plan. Biwa Juzo was also surprised. Is good at Sweden water style, this great exploding water colliding wave does not even have a master. But at the moment, Chinyu's hand seal speed, chakra scheduling and transformation are far beyond his understanding. This is completely, one learning is the master level. Sweden water style, great exploding water colliding wave. The tyrannical chakra was drawn frantically, Chinyu opened his mouth, and endless waves of water rushed out. The three tails hidden in the backpack are even more frantically pouring chakra into Chinyu's ninjutsu. For a time, the water wave was like a raging tide, and Hudai took the rolling posture of Wanjun, and went straight to Laozi. Looking around, Chinyu didn't use ninjutsu at all, he just spit out a sea. The rolling water waves are like galloping horses, making the great exploding water colliding wave displayed by the ghost sharks completely reduced to supporting green leaves. If it wasn't for the order, he would be stunned, and even the face of questioning just now was directly lost. Compared with Chinyu, his great exploding water colliding wave is completely peeing. Chapter 184-10 I'm not enough to kill. Boom. The water was like a tidal wave, and it rolled towards him with a 10,000-like posture. In the close distance, the speed is so fast that Laozi who is attacking from the front has no way to hide. It was directly photographed by the huge waves. The huge water waves rolled back, giving people an endless feeling, filling the half-kilometer range blocked by the enchantment directly. However, this was just the beginning. In the face of Chinyu's saturation attack, there was absolutely no way to hide. In this unexpected situation, Laozi was directly trapped in the water. Iwagakure, who was strictly guarding the surrounding enchantment, was enveloped in the enchantment with a radius of half a kilometer before he had time to react. Finally unable to bear it, this wave of waves made a crisp cracking sound. Boom. With the sound of a shocking explosion, the barrier that was struggling to support collapsed. Endless water waves surged out, turning into a sea, rolling backwards around. Wherever he went, no matter if it was trees, rocks, mountains, etc., nothing could stop him. In the blink of an eye, the ground with a radius of 10 kilometers was instantly submerged by water waves. From a distance, it looks like an ocean, making people's eye sockets split open. Kakuzu and the others stood on the big clay bird made by Deidara, overlooking the ocean below, and their expressions turned ashen. The thin figure that was shrouded in Susanoo and stood quietly in the air. It felt terrifying. To be able to change the landscape with ninjutsu alone, in addition to having superb proficiency, it also requires a huge chakra. Moreover, all ninjas who can achieve this condition are the strongest in cage level. Other words, reaching super cage level is called a demigod. Senju Hashirama, the god of ninjas, and Uchiha Madara, There are very few ninjas who can do it. Roar. In the endless water waves, the four-tailed Jinchuriki calmly lousy let out a roar that sounded like a madness. He barely stabilized his body in the water waves, looked up at Chinyu, and slapped his hands suddenly. At this moment, the tailed beast clothing on the body seemed to be burning quickly. Roar. The crazy roar sounded suddenly, and the huge chakra, like a volcano erupting, quickly penetrated the body. Under the tumbling hot melt, it seemed that even the water was about to boil. Roar. With the sound of roaring sound again, the huge body suddenly swayed, and it completely turned into a tailed beast. Boss, this is the Four Tails, the fool known as the Monkey King of Wagwo Mountain. Three Tails suddenly got out of Chinyu's backpack and took a look. I consumed a lot of chakra just now, the boss is here to give it to you. Roar. The frantic roar sounded again, and the tearful eyes of the Four Tails were instantly locked on the body of the Three Tails. Turtle, I didn't expect you to call a human the boss. You're disgracing our tailed beasts. Four Tails suddenly spit out human words. You are joining hands with me now to kill all these abominable humans before it's too late. Under the rolling voice, there is a deafening smell. Bah, Sanwei pouted disdainfully. You Yuhi ass, don't provoke the relationship between me and the boss, otherwise I'll be in a hurry with you. I still advise you to surrender obediently, follow the boss, and eat and drink together, this is a good job. Otherwise, as soon as the boss starts, you are waiting to suffer. Speaking of this, Sanwei immediately put on a flattering expression, rubbed his hands and smiled and said, Boss, do you think what I said is good? Then tomorrow's lunch, I'm going to trouble you. Looking at the miser's three tails, Chinyu rolled his eyes helplessly. During this time, Sanwei lost all his integrity in order to eat. Damn tortoise, you have humiliated me with the face of our tailed beasts. I will take a look. The boss in your mouth understands the wrath of tailed beasts. One blow can destroy mountains and seas. Angry. Both are tailed beasts, not to mention Chinyu can't see it. Even the Four Tails are even more uncomfortable, these Three Tails are pretending to be grandsons. During these long years, when they were used as tailed beast weapons, it was not frightening that time. When did they become so unscrupulous? In the endless water waves, after barely standing still, Huoran raised his head and opened his bloody mouth. Looking at the sky, I don't know when the lead clouds are accumulating. The power of thunder that roamed like a horned dragon one after another made the nerves of the Four Tails suddenly tense. It is now in the endless waves that have pinned down its Yoden lava style. Moreover, this water also contains chakra, which limits its flexibility. Right now, if it is matched with this thunder strike, what the consequences will be, even the Four Tails can't imagine. Thinking of the slapstick just now, this is just delaying time. Cunning human, it's impossible for you to catch me. As long as I use Yoden lava style, I can escape in an instant. Four Tails roared, and then the huge body swung down, rushing straight to the ground below. However, just after walking more than 10 meters, the words that landed in his ears, but his nerves were tense. Can you escape faster than the speed of light? Chinyu smiled playfully. The moment the right hand pressed upward, it directly touched the thunder of the sky. For a time, a huge thunder-light Uzumaki appeared in the backlog of clouds. Without any bells and whistles, Chinyu suddenly pressed down with his right hand. Raiden Thunder-style Kirin. Roar. A roar that reached Judy and Yunxiao was torn apart instantly. The thunder light that filled the sky was directly pulled up and turned into a 1,000-foot Kirin, roaring and diving down. The rolling layway is only 1,000th of the speed of light in the blink of an eye. It was too late to even raise his brows. Four Tails just shrank their pupils suddenly, and at the moment of Mangekyo's boost, Raiden Thunder-style Kirin, whose power was multiplied, swooped and slammed down. Boom! The endless thunder light devoured all the four tails in an instant. Like the ocean-like landform, the thunder light is raging, like one after another thunder dragon roaring in the water. The sky is full of thunder and light rising into the sky, and the whole world gives people a taste of doomsday thunder calamity. After more than half a minute, the thunder in the sky dissipated. The water waves shrouded in a radius of 10 kilometers disappeared. Below, the forest with a diameter of half a kilometer turned directly into a huge deep pit. A huge body that looked slightly charred was lying in the rubble without moving at all. Looking at the moment before, he was still in high spirits and wanted to kill the tailed beasts in all directions, but now he was directly hit by a blow. The gap between before and after is too big. Is this the strength of the boss? I'm afraid 10 of me will not be enough to kill. The ghost shark looked pale. A great exploding water colliding wave has been able to crush him, and then use this raid in thunder-style Kirin, let alone counterattack. I am afraid that even defense can't be done, and it will be a fart. HMPH, Ghost Shark, you should be thankful that you are not stupid enough to challenge the boss, otherwise it will be a profound lesson. Daewoo Juzo snorted coldly, his face seemed ruthless, but he was also grateful for the wise Shinwoo who surrendered that day. Otherwise, it is almost the same as the fate of the Four Tails. Chapter 186 The Third Scroll. Okay, don't be stunned here. Whoever has a powerful spirit formation, temporarily seal the Four Tails first. Chinyu glanced at the Four Tails, who had suffered heavy damage, and asked. This injury seems serious, but the tailed beast, as a form of chakra, will soon recover. Now it's just that the consciousness has been defeated. Once it recovers, I am afraid it will continue to run wild again. Boss, I have the iron sand sealing method here, but because it is owned by the third generation of Cage, and there is no sealed vessel, I am afraid the effect will be much worse. Sasori said hesitantly. There are many puppets on him, and they also have the ability to seal. But if there is no artifact that can be used as a vessel, or a suitable person with Jinchuriki, column strength and physique, rashly sealing the tailed beast in it will not be worth the loss. Once the seal is broken, the power of the backlash will be even more terrifying. Don't worry about the seal, it's enough to leave other things to me. Chinyu said with a smile. The battle just now was too loud. According to this situation, as long as the team is equipped with perception ninjas, it is easy to find their traces. Chan oiled slowly. Boss, then I'll let it go. Sasori's expression sank, and he took out the third scroll around his waist with his backhand. Boom. The endless white fog rose into the sky, and a huge figure emerged. Oh. Chinyu snorted lightly. In the original book, Sasori had 3 scrolls in total. The first is the Eclipse Jinchuriki column stream, which can perform an attack similar to a water cutter. The second reel is the puppet technique. The third scroll is the one in front of him, a giant puppet head with countless hands and a height of about 10 meters. Scroll 3, Puppet Dreamworks. Boom. The huge puppet head slammed on the ground, causing a large piece of sand to spread out. Seeing the Senju-like gesture, everyone's expressions changed slightly. In the original book, many of the people in Akatsuki fought with all their might. And only Sasori of the Red Sand, the genius puppet master, was serious. As soon as the huge puppet appeared, the billowing air wave overturned it, and Sasori ripped off his clothes, revealing the puppet's body. This is simply a lunatic, transforming himself into a puppet. Daewoo Juzo's expression changed, and even the ghost beside him couldn't help licking his lips. It can be said that this scene is too shocking. Sasori didn't care about the reaction of the crowd, and directly opened his own core. Chakra lines blasted out one after another, and one end sank into the puppet factory. The puppet work, which had no movement at all, made a roar in an instant. As soon as he opened his eyes, the mouth of the blood basin suddenly opened, as if a pitch-black abyss was formed. Yuhi-colored silk threads shot out and quickly wrapped around the four tails. In the blink of an eye, the four tails were directly wrapped into a cocoon. The next moment, Sasori's hands flew quickly, forming a series of spell marks like wheels. With the hands suddenly clasped together, the huge four-tailed tens of meters was pulled frantically and dragged into the mouth of the puppet factory. With the last trace of ability coming in, the bloody mouth of the puppet factory suddenly closed. Iron Sand Seal. Sasori slammed his hands together, and the puppet of the third-generation cage appeared again. The bloody pot opened its mouth wide, and endless iron sand poured out, covering the puppet factory in an instant. At the same time, the puppet factory slammed into the scroll again, leaving only a mess of ground. Seeing this scene, Chin-Yu breathed a sigh of relief, patted Sasori's shoulder, and said, "Let's go, I'm afraid this place will be discovered." Chapter 186 The New Fourth Generation Mizukage. Ahead, hurry up, they may be in front. A rush of words came out from the fast-moving team. When they arrived next to the ruins, they looked at the huge crater dozens of meters deep, and the high-temperature burning and melting rocks. That messy picture is simply shocking to see. What exactly happened here? I looked at Lois with a solemn expression, and asked sharply, "Don't forget, we are now half an alliance. If you hide information because of you, it may lead to a final defeat." Quote. Recalling just now, with a radius of 10 kilometers, all the forests were blocked by water waves, and there were huge thunders falling from the sky. That still makes me shudder. Kurigakure village didn't say anything about this issue, but now they are on the same boat, so they have to take it seriously. It's a human Jinchuriki column force weapon. Lois's expression sank, and he clenched his fists and slammed into the big tree beside him. "Lord Lois, we found here that Lord Z's chakra fluctuations remained. I'm afraid there was an unusually fierce battle here, and the result is probably..." "Damn," Lois shouted angrily, "Jinchuriki column weapons, but only second to cage level powerful means, you tell me now, Lao Z may fail. I don't believe that that kid can defeat the tailed beast turned Lao Z in a short period of time." A hysterical roar came out, which instantly changed the atmosphere of the scene. Everyone's eyes turned to Lois, and their hearts were also shaken. "The old purple you said should be the four-tailed Jinchuriki column force that we Kumogakure targeted this time, old purple," I said solemnly. "It is rumored that the four-tailed Monkey King, Grandmaster Yoden, lava style, can easily escape as soon as he touches the ground, which is an existence that even 3 generations have a headache for. This time, the 3 generations of Reikage invaded the village of Iwagakure, precisely to snatch the tailed beast weapon. However, in the process of capturing, Yoden lava style was clearly beyond their budget. The end, repeated delays and failures led to the discovery of the village of Iwagakure. A series of events will follow. Right now, even the 4 tails that are so difficult to deal with have been defeated, and the person who shot it is too shocking. No wonder the opponent used such a wide range of Suiten water-style ninjutsu. It seems that he intends to trap the 4 tails and prevent him from contacting the earth," I said with a sullen expression. "I just don't know, such a powerful ninjutsu is how many people perform it together." Quote. "If it is a person, the amount of chakra and combat experience required is very high. I think it takes at least 3 to 5 people to do it." A small figure with a huge black stick on his back walked out of Anbu in Kurigakure village. "Who are you?" I's expression changed. Now in the village of Kurigakure, the elders were killed, and the 7 top-level ninja swordsmen, 2 defected and 2 were killed. In the current situation, there is no qualification to negotiate with them on an equal footing. So along the way, Anbu of Kurigakure village did not speak. Now suddenly there is a small man. I am afraid there is an intriguing feeling. "My name is Yagura, and I'm the newly elected 4th generation Mizukage from Kurigakure village." Short Anbu, unmasked, revealing a childish face. I joined the team midway through, so it's not surprising that you didn't know my existence. The new 4th generation Mizukage. I raised his brows, looking at Yagura like a little brat, obviously hard to believe. Yes, Yagura nodded and said, after the death of the 3rd generation of Mizukage, I found it strange that Biwajuzo returned to the village, but because of the war, I had to send him to meet Danzo. As soon as I can react, Elder Wudong has been killed. Chapter 187_Hold 5 Shadows Conference. You said that you are the new Mizukage, so you have to have the facts to convince us. I snorted coldly, and there was a crackling sound from his body at the same time. Step down, he turned around and punched Yagura hard. Raiden Thunder style, Thunder Fist breaks the tyrant. Mizukage-sama. Kurigakure Anbu around him changed drastically, but they obviously got the order from the beginning and didn't make a rash move. Seeing the Thunder Fist blast out, the speed was so fast that even a strand of hair on his forehead was blown into the wind. Yagura didn't panic at all, her hands quickly flipped, forming a series of spell marks. Sweden Water Style, Water Mirror Art. A wave of water quickly condensed in front of Yagura, and instantly turned into a water mirror, directly reflecting Ai's figure. Before everyone could react, the ripples on the water mirror stirred, and the original figure in the mirror condensed in an instant. With the same moves and movements, head towards Aishi. Boom. The fists, which did not give up much, collided in an instant, making a thunderous explosion. The wind that rolled back made the people around couldn't help but take a few steps back, and then looked at the second eye dissipating in the void with shock on their faces. The same moves, and the same movements, isn't this the same scene as Lois and the others saw the 3rd generation of Reikage kill himself? Someone in Kumogakure couldn't hold back his breath. However, he was quickly stopped by Eye Detective, and his gaze towards Yagura was less disdainful and more solemn. I agree with your strength, but this crystal technique is very good, but you can't replicate Reikage's full strength, so you are not a murderer. Ai Chen Sheng explained. There are many copy ninjutsu like the water mirror technique. This ninjutsu seems to defy the sky, but the biggest drawback is that the difference between the strength of the caster and the copied person is not large. Once the copying person exceeds the limit of the caster, not only will it be impossible to copy, but it will also lead to overdraft of chakra, but it will not be worth the loss. Yagura in front of him was chosen as the 4th generation Mizukage, but without the tailed beast and the power of the human Jinchuriki column, the strength is still greatly reduced compared to the original. Therefore, this water mirror technique can only replicate some not so strong ninjutsu. Okay, since you agree with my strength, should we talk about Uchiha Chinyu? Yagura took the lead in breaking the deadlock. Facing this suggestion, I nodded in agreement in an instant, looking at Lois with a livid face, and the anxious perception ninja. I knew very well that the Jinchuriki column force of the 4-tailed man was probably already more fortunate than good luck. Lois, let's talk about business first. Yagura frowned, but still couldn't help speaking. After all, knowing oneself and knowing the enemy can win every battle. If Lois hides something, there will probably still be grudges for the next cooperation. The two of you are laughing. Lois sighed and said solemnly, this time, Lord Tsuchikajinoki, in addition to sending us to meet with Danzo, also led the team with the 4-tailed Jinchuriki column Lee Lousy to go after him. Our Iwagakure village Bakuden, explosion style, genius ninja Deidara. Quote. According to Lord Onoki, only by finding the death of Deidara, the 3rd generation of Reikage, will we find out. While we were trapped in Konoha, we learned through the perception ninja that Lousy had tracked down Deidara and fought against each other. The slightly elusive voice made the expressions of everyone in the field change one after another. I said with a sullen face, you mean, Lousy has confirmed that Deidara has defected, and the number of the other party is still large, so he can't be captured immediately. In Ai's eyes, the strength possessed by the human Jinchuriki column force is not comparable to that of a mere 7 or 8-year-old genius. Moreover, the Yoden lava style of the Four Tails is not only a first-class escape, but also a sneak attack. Under such innate advantages, there is no way to catch a 7 or 8-year-old kid. This means that the opponent's team also has a lot of powerhouses. Lois, do you have any information about the other party's members? Don't try to hide it from us. Whether it's the disappearance of the 3 generations of Reikage and Mizukage, or the mutiny of the genius ninja in your village, our 3 ninja villages, to some extent, are on the same boat. Yagura said in a deep voice. Lois couldn't refute these remarks. After he was about to speak, he sighed and said, "Forget it, this is the encrypted secret information from Laozi. It is recorded above that there are 3 people in the other party, but the real identity has also been encrypted, and we need to go back to the village to break it." 3 people. Yagura's expression changed slightly and said, "Then if you count Uchiha Chinyu, Kisame Hoshigaki and Biwajuzo, the number of people in this group will reach 7. Now that the 3rd and 4th tails are in their hands, once they are used, this will form an unimaginably huge force, which is so serious that it may threaten the safety of our ninja world. I believe that the 2 of you here don't like the status of a big country being shaken by outsiders." As soon as these words came out, the expressions of Lois and I also changed, but there was no way to refute them. Especially the traces of the battle in front of them, but they are vividly visible, beating their nerves. 4th generation Mizukage, I think you should have a countermeasure, I said in a deep voice. This time, he clearly admitted Karataki Yagura's Mizukage identity. Yagura nodded, and said without giving up, "Have a meeting of the 5 shadows." According to the information we found in Kurigakure village, Uchiha Chinyu has been lurking in Konoha Ninja village for 17 years before showing his edge. His strength has obviously reached the cage level, opening the Mangekyo Sharingan that only Uchiha Madara has. Quote. Now he has obviously gathered a group of ninjas with extreme thinking, whether it's Biwajuzo, Kisame Hoshigaki, and the other 4, all alone will have an impact on the ninja world, and now they gather together, I'm afraid it will become a huge disaster. 5 Shadows Conference. Whether it was I or Lois, even the expressions of the other ninjas changed. The 5 Shadow Conferences were held to discuss major events related to the survival of the ninja world. The first time was when the first Hokage assigned the tailed beast. The second and third times were all wars and peace talks, and rights and interests were divided. Now that the Third Ninja World War has not ended, and the final outcome has not yet been decided, he hastily started the 5 Shadows talks for a mere kid. This means that the 5 Shadow talks can be successfully held only on the premise of ending the Third Ninja War. Everyone, I know that this Ninja World War is a huge loss for all parties. At the same time, everyone maintains a certain strength and is waiting for the moment of the decisive battle. Karataki Yagura said in a deep voice. However, don't forget, the Third Ninja World War started because of the disappearance of 3 generations of Kazekage. Quote. Now, the 3 generations of Reikage and Mizukage have also disappeared one after another. All the evidence points to Uchiha Chinyu, and maybe the 3 generations of Kazekage will also be inseparable from him. Chapter 188 _ Push the monster to the opposite. If you still want to stay out of the way, I'm just worried that things will get out of hand. Karataki Yagura stopped here. He said everything that should be said, and the danger was pointed out. If the 5 Shadows talks still can't be held, it can only accept fate. HMPH, a mere brat makes you so worried. Ai Shen shouted. However, if he is really related to the disappearance of the 3rd generation of Reikage, we, Kumogakure village, will never let him go easily. Next time we meet, we will meet under the title of Shadow, and this matter will be handed over to you, Mizukage, the 4th generation. Leaving those words behind, I took the lead and left. Now, facing the unknown forces of Uchiha Chinyu, and the strength of the battle, even the four-tailed Jinchuriki column force has disappeared. If you pursue it rashly, you will probably lose more than you gain. What's more, there is still an important thing in Kumogakure village waiting for him to go back to. Moreover, 3 generations of Reikage are missing, and the Kumogakure village is also headless, and he needs to come forward to stabilize the scene. Yo, see you next time. Please remember that I'm Killer Bee Jinchuriki, column force, Bull Ghost Killer Bee. Killer Bee rapped with a crooked mouth, and quickly followed. Seeing that Kumogakure all retreated, Karataki Yagura secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Lois, this matter is very involved. I hope you can get in touch with Tsuchikage as soon as possible, and at the same time give up the pursuit of Uchiha Chinyu. His strength is so terrifying. If he gathers a large number of powerful missing nin, right for you, acting rashly is throwing yourself into the net. Karataki Yagura explained in a deep voice. Also, Laozi is not without a little gain. At least he has encrypted the information of the other 3 subordinates of Uchiha and Chinyu. Next, I hope that you, Iwagakure village, can decipher it as soon as possible, so that our 5 great ninja villages can come up with a response method as soon as possible. Lois also agrees with Karataki Yagura's methodical analysis. Glancing at the information scroll in his hand, he said solemnly, I will report what happened here to Lord Onoki truthfully, but will Konoha Shinobi agree to the 5 shadows talks? Don't forget, their attitude towards Uchiha Chinyu's defection is very ignorant. Lois' face flashed a trace of solemnity. After the Third Ninja World War, Konoha Ninja Village opened up 4 major battlefields at the same time. Although the casualties of the battle were also high, they had to admit that the Konoha Ninja Village was full of talented people, and in terms of military strength, it was one of the 4 major ninja villages. If Konoha Shinobi were on the side of Uchiha Chinyu, what would happen, but it is unknown. Don't worry, for the Third Ninja War, we are fighting on our own. Now as long as our 4 major ninja villages reach a consensus and join forces to put pressure on the Konoha Ninja Village, they can only agree. Karataki Yagura smiled and shook his head. Now, I will issue the intention to hold the 5 Shadows Conference to the 3 generations of Hokage. Here Yagura awaits good news from the village of Iwagakure. Don't worry, the meaning of the 4th generation of Mizukage, I will bring it back to Onoki-sama. If there is nothing else, we will go first. After Lois left these words, he left in a hurry. Thinking that the 4-tailed Jinchuriki column are also fierce, he hurried back to Iwagakure village to report. In Konoha Ninja Village, the huge venue did not leave the building empty because of the farce. However, in addition to the important members of the major families, other civilians have also dispersed. Looking at the expressionless 3 generations of Hokage on the first seat, an inexplicable depressing breath enveloped the entire venue. Whoosh! Several bursts of sound came from all directions, and finally landed in front of the 3rd generation of Hokage. The eyes hidden under the mask showed a hesitant look after sweeping around the field. Come on, all the patriarchs are qualified to hear these things, said the 3rd generation Hokage in a deep voice. This incident happened in front of everyone, and it was obviously impossible to suppress it in private. Since it cannot be concealed, it is better to announce it directly, which will also help stabilize people's hearts. Receiving approval, Captain Anbu, who was the leader, took the lead and said, in the route, everything related to Danzo has been destroyed. Among them, the route newcomers who did not have time to retreat were all killed by the forbidden technique applied. Meanwhile, in the secret basement of the roots, we found the laboratory where the first Hokage cells were grown, and the experiments on Sharingan Izanagi. Damn! 3 generations of Hokage scolded angrily. These are the research materials that Orochimaru found in his laboratory that day, when he defected. However, he softened his heart for a while and suppressed this matter. Unexpectedly, Danzo would accept Orochimaru's experiment, and it was really successful, developing a ninja of Mokudan, wood-style ninjutsu, and a Sharingan arm. Sarutobi, now is not the time to be angry about Danzo's affairs. Our priority is to find a way to deal with the investigation of the three major ninja villages. Kaharu Udatane was the first to speak. As one of Konoha's three advisors, when the others were silent, only they were qualified to speak. Sarutobi, Kaharu is right, Danzo has gone too far, but this time Uchiha Chinyu killed the elders of Kurigakure village in public and colluded with the 7 ninja swordsmen. For our Konoha shinobi village's diplomatic relations, the impact is huge. Homura Mitokado echoed. Moreover, the 3 generations of Raikage and the disappearance of the genius of Iwagakure village all point to Uchiha Chinyu, so we must handle it properly, otherwise the 3 major ninja villages will attack us together. I am afraid it will not be worth the loss. Facing the words of Homura Mitokado and Kaharu Udatane, the ninjas present looked at each other in dismay. In their eyes, as Jiraiya said, there are no eyes on the battlefield, and the murderers are always killed. If you can only kill people with shadows, but not ordinary people, it would be too funny. Now Uchiha Chinyu has taken the initiative to leave Konoha and has helped Konoha Ninja Village through a difficult time. Now I still plan to cut the seat and intersect, but to downplay the initiator of Danzo, which is unreasonable. Damn, Kaharu, Mito, are you still going to maintain the face of the so-called consultant? The 3rd generation Hokage roared and said, look at what this is. Spoke, the 3rd Hokage threw a scroll at Homura Mitokado's face. This slap in the face surprised Homura Mitokado. It was the first time he saw that the moderate 3-generation Hokage would be furious. However, Homura Mitokado paled when he saw the scroll in his hand. The face of the consultant is completely irrelevant now. Look again, the new Mizukage of Kurigakure village, what is mentioned in the scroll? 3 generations of Hokage shouted angrily. When you took care of the face of the so-called advisor, did you know how to force a monster to oppose us Konoha? Not long ago, Jinchuriki Column, a 4-tailed man sent from Iwagakure village, disappeared for no reason and was suspected to be defeated by Uchiha Chinyu. Chapter 189 excited to the point of scaring the old man to death. 4-tailed Jinchuriki Column force was defeated. There was an uproar in the field, and the expressions of many people changed drastically. I have never seen a pig run, and I have eaten pork. Whether it is the older generation of ninjas who have seen the fierceness of tailed beasts with their own eyes, or the younger generation who have been instilled with the powerful weapons of tailed beasts since childhood. For them, the combat power of tailed beasts often exceeds that of ordinary cage-level powerhouses. If there is no special means to suppress it, maybe it will be like in the original work, the 4 generations sealed Kyubi, 9 tails, and died. After all, no one is the first Hokage, who can make the tailed beast as funny as Erha. Sarutobi, aren't the 3 major ninja villages chasing the trail of Uchiha Chinyu? Could it be that they joined forces with the tailed orc Jinchuriki Column, and there was no way to stop him? Homura Mitokado was anxious. Although, it has been known for a long time that Chinyu's subordinates are still hiding their heads and 3 tails. But according to Jiraiya, it was a trick. Now facing the 4-tailed Jinchuriki Column force, and the pursuit of the 3 major ninja villages, the results should be different. HMPH, you should look at the information recorded on the scroll and shout again. 3 generations of Hokage snorted angrily. However, I think if you see it clearly, I'm afraid you really won't be able to call it out. Words fell, and Homura Mitokado and Kaharu Udatane couldn't wait to completely spread the scroll. However, this sight made them stunned. After waiting for a long time, a group of old patriarchs who were present turned their necks to look at each other, but the distance was too far, obviously it was just an extravagant hope. Old man Hyuga, hurry up and look at what's written on it. Those 2 idiots are dumbfounded. What are they doing is making our hearts itch. The old patriarch Nara couldn't hold back. Logically, this kind of confidential scroll must not be shown casually. However, the implication is very big right now, and the 3 generations of Hokage still have the heart to let them know that the old patriarch Nara dares to instigate it like this. Old man Hyuga, hurry up and take a look. Yes, all 3 generations have allowed it, so don't sell it. A group of old men were all around for fear that the world would not be chaotic, which made the younger generation standing beside them also moved. Although the Hyuga clan had a lot of Byakugan juniors standing, they didn't dare to make trouble and could only stare blankly. Since all of you old guys have made me mess up, then I'll be arrogant. The old patriarch Hyuga grabbed the wine glass in his hand and took a sip of tea. Dead Byakugan. PFF'd. A mouthful of tea spewed out directly, and old patriarch Hyuga, like a conditioned reflex, kicked his feet and quickly covered his heart. He couldn't even grasp the teacup in his hand, and fell to the ground with a thud, shattering in response. The violent scene made everyone present stunned. This is something to see, so exciting, it almost scared the old man to death. Old man Hyuga, what's wrong with you? Elder Nara, who was sitting beside him, reacted quickly. After finding the acupuncture point, he took a few needles to let the emotional old patriarch Hyuga calm down. Grandma, I almost scared the old man to death. The old patriarch Hyuga patted his chest and said, however, riding a horse is too exciting. Defeat a tailed beast in 60 seconds, perform ninjutsu with a radius of 10 kilometers, and Raiden Thunder style falling from the sky. This horse can be consecrated. Seeing the incoherent speech and the spittle of the old patriarch Hyuga, everyone present was stunned at first. Immediately fry the pot. Ninjutsu with a radius of 10 kilometers, this can easily cover half of the Konoha ninja village. Even the tailed beast can't resist for 60 seconds, what level of strength does it reach? At this moment, they finally understood what the 3 generations of Hokage meant. If you are opposed to this kind of monster, this is despairing. The 3 generations of Hokage, who closed their eyes and snorted, slowly opened their eyes and said, which of you can be responsible for this matter, is it Mito or Kaharu? Chapter 190 _ the simplest Hokage succession ceremony ever made. The huge venue fell into an inexplicable silence. Facing the questioning of the 3 generations of Hokage, no one in the venue dared to refute. They also thought that the content on this scroll might be exaggerated. But when you think about it, as long as you're not a fool, you're definitely not stupid enough to exaggerate a ninjutsu to a radius of 10 kilometers. Defeat a tailed beast in 60 seconds. The only possibility is that all this is true. Random fabrication, it is impossible to imagine this level out of thin air. Brains are also limited. Hehe, it seems that none of you can answer this question. The 3 generations of Hokage snorted coldly and said, since, if we continue to discuss, there will be no result, then this time the Hokage campaign will enable Namikaze Minato to become the 4th generation Hokage. Quote. As for the village, everything that happened today, except for Danzo and Orochimaru, will remain the same. If there is no objection, the meeting will now be dismissed. Having said that, the 3 generations of Hokage looked like a torch, and looked around in the field. Homura Mitokado hesitated to speak, but was stopped by Kaharu Udatane and shook his head. Accepting the torment for half a minute, the 3rd generation Hokage snorted coldly, turned around and left. The people present, as if receiving an amnesty, breathed a sigh of relief. Some patriarchs who are good at observing words and emotions have already taken the lead and walked to the new 4th generation Hokage, Namikaze Minato, and exclaimed with joy. A full 10 minutes of work, Namikaze Minato smiled wryly as he watched people go to the empty venue. Minato, I'm not happy to be Hokage anymore. Jiraiya smiled and patted Minato's shoulder. As a teacher, being able to see my students and become Hokage is the greatest sense of accomplishment. However, in the face of this congratulations, Namikaze Minato shook his head helplessly with a smile, and said, "Teacher, you are really joking, this is probably the most rudimentary Hokage succession ceremony in history." "Oh," Jiraiya let out a small chuckle and said with a smile, "Minato, I didn't expect you to mind this kind of thing." This time, Chinyu's incident has made the whole situation of the ninja world unclear. The teacher recommended you to become Hokage, and it was also ordered in danger. Now in Konoha, except you, no one can hold this position. This decision is actually the result of a temporary decision made by Jiraiya, Tsunade, and the 3 generations of Hokage after getting Yagura's scroll information. After all, every time a Hokage campaign is held, there will be a storm. Instead of leaving time for people with ulterior motives to stare at the position of the 4th generation, it is better to cut through the mess and fix the position of the 4th generation of Hokage. It also dispelled the ambition of the 3 elders of Uchiha and stabilized the situation of Konoha. However, in the face of Jiraiya's words, Namikaze Minato still shook his head with a wry smile. "Above me, isn't there a teacher? In terms of qualifications and experience, the teacher is richer than me, and I don't think I have the qualifications to compare with him if he is still there." "Minato, you kid, you really put this top hat on the teacher." Jiraiya scolded with a smile, and sighed leisurely. "However, you are also right, if he is still there, don't talk about you, even I'm not qualified to compare with him either. It's a pity that his heart is not in Konoha. If he can do it now, he can only hope that other villages will not go too far. If he is completely forced to the opposite side, the ninja world will face a huge catastrophe." Chapter 191 Large-Scale Group Performance Activities. On the border of the Fire Nation, 7 or 8 figures passed quickly through the forest. When he came to a basin, he suddenly stopped. "Boss, the seal has reached its limit again. Shall we proceed according to the original plan?" Sasori spoke first. The huge scroll in his hand, the circles of mysterious magic seals, burned and lit up like a flame. At the same time, there seems to be an invisible big hand stirring in it, and a concave and protruding moving picture appears. "Go ahead according to the original plan. I want to torture him a few more times and it will settle down." Chinyu smiled genially. Looking at this sweet smile like the boy next door, the spine of the people present couldn't help but shiver, and Sanwei shuddered and hid directly in the backpack. Thinking of the inhuman treatment that the 4 tails encountered, it can be very fortunate, that day's wise choice of Shinwu. "Little Sanzi, don't be lazy, you are the key link, don't give me the chain, otherwise your next meal will be a good banana." Chinyu rolled his eyes and said. As soon as these words fell, Sanwei was instantly excited as if he had been beaten with blood. Yi Yan climbed to Chinyu's shoulders, and after screaming in a hurry, he showed his most majestic side. Looking at the dignified 3 tails, Chinyu was trained to look like a 2 hectares, and the big cows present were twitching their mouths. It seems that the fate of the 4 tails has already been foreshadowed. However, in order to avoid the situation of being beaten like the 4 tails, the people present immediately cheered up. This matter must not be missed, otherwise the next laughingstock will be chosen among them. "Go!" Looking at the formation, Chinyu shouted coldly. Sasori, who was already ready, threw the scroll directly into the air with his backhand. Solution. As soon as the word was uttered, the seal scroll exploded, revealing the shadow of the puppet Dreamworks. At the same time, the huge body of a gorilla Yuhi also appeared in front of everyone. It's just that the always ferocious-tailed beast shivered when he saw the young man standing on the branch with a smile on his mouth, and hurriedly wanted to fall to the ground. His only thought now is to escape. How far to escape? Sweden, water style, big water explosion. 2 violent shouts came out in an instant, and Hand Seal's hands flew like wheels. When the last magic seal fell, the seawater like a raging tide gushed out from the mouths of Biwajuzo and the ghost shark. Pervert of Chinyu's 10-kilometer radius, they could still reach a range of 3 or 4 kilometers with all their strength and with the help of shark muscles. Together, the endless water waves instantly turned the entire basin into an ocean, submerging the huge body of the four tails. At the same time, Deidara's eyes widened, and the surgical mark in her hand was slapped together, and the ground under her feet continued to rumble. The moment a huge clay octopus of 50 or 60 meters broke out of the ground, it quickly wrapped around Siwei's body. At the same time, the 300 puppets in the sky opened, and the puppet man who claimed to be able to destroy the country also moved. There are also 4 masked ghosts with dense blood vessels as their bodies, also scattered around. Even the weakest Hidan, wielding the scythe of the god of death, attacked the 4 tails one after another. As soon as such a luxurious lineup came out, the 4 tails, who were still full of anger, couldn't help shivering, and instantly became miserable. "Can I surrender?" 4 tails' cheeks twitched, which was like a nightmare, repeated over and over again. It has forgotten how many times it has endured. Ouch! A strange cry suddenly sounded. The huge body that fell from the sky, like a meteorite, smashed directly on the body of the 4 tails, and the next moment, there was a cry of ghosts and gods in the huge basin. "Surrender doesn't work. Punch it." The 3-tailed monster screamed, took the lead in opening his mouth and spit out a few spit cannons, raised his tail and bowed left and right, and drew a few mouths. At the same time, demonstrations of puppet extermination, ninjutsu combined boxing of the 5 elements, and large-scale art detonated the scene were staged one after another. The most antisocial performance is that the human shark comes in behind, showing the shark boy, the alternative dark side. As for drawing a circle to curse you, it can only be regarded as a children's drawing program. After all, this tailed beast is still useful to keep, and it can't be performed to stab in the heart as soon as it goes up. In the original book, the monster that came out of the last Akatsuki was already a headache. Now facing a group at one time, this is suffering. This large-scale group performance activity lasted for 10 minutes before it came to a perfect end. Looking at the 4 tails that did not look like a beast in the deep pit, everyone twitched the corners of their mouths and looked at Uchiha Chinyu. As long as the young man standing on the sidelines in front of him said nothing. They will definitely continue to hold the motto of the dead Taoist, not as good as the dead Taoist friend, and come together again. Okay, continue to seal it. Chinyu glanced at the 4 tails, who had no strength to even struggle, and ordered. Sasori's expression was stagnant. He glanced left and right, and said, "Boss, do you want to continue? Why don't you ask if it wants to surrender? If it goes on like this, I'm worried that it will go crazy if it doesn't die." After walking for 7 meals in a row, not to mention the 4 tails, even they were a little bit overwhelmed. What's more, the tailed beasts are thick-skinned and fleshy, with chakra as the main body. In addition to mental trauma, physical injuries can be recovered in a blink of an eye. Little C, don't pretend to be dead, decide quickly, we are also wasting our energy, and after 7 meals, I'm hungry. Sanwei jumped up, recovered the size of Erha, and landed directly on Siwei on his head. He said, "Tell you, the boss's cooking skills are top-notch. You will definitely be like me if you eat 1 meal, kill 10 people, or slap you with blood." Seeing Sanwei chattering about persuading him to surrender, everyone present secretly felt a little more urgent. Being beaten is of course very frustrating, but it is equally uncomfortable to beat someone to death. Seeing the 4 tails who were pretending to be dead, their eyelids twitched, and they finally opened their eyes, and everyone breathed a sigh of relief. "I can surrender, but I can't be beaten by a group of people in the future, and I'm so good at cooking. A dead turtle, not any tailed beast is like you. Just to eat 1 bite, I've been living like 2 hectares, I'm looking for something to eat, bananas. Isn't it fragrant?" 4 tails couldn't help throwing a big Byakugan at Sanwei. I am the Monkey King of Water Curtain Cave in Wagwoshan, and I will never bend my waist for a bite. Besides, I only like to eat bananas. The stern and righteous voices rolled and dispersed. Sanwei's eyes lit up, and hurriedly ran back to Chinyu, sticking out his tongue and yawning. Boss, the mission has been completed. I don't know if the bananas are fragrant or not, but everyone is hungry. Yes, it's not supposed to be dinner. Thinking that during this time, Uchiha and Chinyu had no intention of cooking at all, and Sanwei felt like he was chewing wax, without the slightest taste. It's rare to make a contribution now, and I can't hold back at all. Chapter 192 _ The chicken is so beautiful. Hearing Sanwei's proposal, only Hidan and Kakuzu were present, who had tasted Chinyu's gesture. The rest of the people also showed a suspicious look. In their eyes, isn't this a meal, and they don't even need to throw away their morals, right? I want to think about what to eat today. Chinyu touched the tip of his nose helplessly, various dishes flashed in his mind, and finally settled down. In China, there is no feast without chicken. It is rare for a group of people to gather here, and it should be good to use chicken as a hard dish. Boss, have you thought about it? I'm so hungry that my belly is on my spine. Sanwei urged impatiently. Chinyu rolled his eyes and said, go catch some pheasants. If you want to fill your stomach, the more the better. Is it a pheasant? Sanwei was stunned for a moment, and his memory of the image of a chicken was obviously very vague. However, he quickly regained his senses and, accompanied by Hidan, headed into the forest first. Chinyu seems to have seen the scene of the chicken flying and the dog walking away. In the future, I am afraid that he will find a group of monks to recite the scriptures to the pheasants in this forest. Cut, I thought there was something special. You humans have nothing to put on the table other than the old-fashioned roast chicken. I'll go find some bananas to eat. Four Tails also rushed into the forest. Boss, do you want to follow it? The ghost shark couldn't help but glanced in the direction where the Four Tails left. Chinyu smiled, shook his head and said, no need, it doesn't have the guts. Let me catch it again. A large-scale group performance is not built. Seeing Chinyu's genial smile and these words, the ghost shark couldn't help but twitch for a while, saying, then I'll take some military ration pills first to recover. Leaving these words, the ghost shark also went straight to Biwajuzo. After getting along for a short time, as a ghost shark from Anbu, he clearly knows that everyone here has different habits and personalities. Crazy explosive art brats, undead misers, cultists who curse you in circles, and timeless puppet artists who love to hollow out their bodies. There is also an unfathomable problem boy who likes to call out weirdos. Looking around the arena, it seems that the most normal, or the most abnormal at first, is Biwajuzo, who also walked out of the blood fog. Do you want to eat some ration pills? You can quickly recover your physical strength, chakra, and fill your stomach. The ghost shark sat down with his back against the big tree. At the same time, he threw the military ration pill in his hand to Biwajuzo, put 3 or 5 pills into his mouth with his backhand, and began to adjust his state. Seeing this scene, Biwajuzo was a little surprised, and said with a smile, I didn't expect that Kisame Hoshigaki, a Kisame Hoshigaki who is famous for being indifferent in Anbu, would also show a friendly side. If it was passed back to the village of Kurigakure, I'm afraid many people would not believe. In the original book, Kurigakure Village, Kisame Hoshigaki, as the first person in Anbu, even broke the name of Kurigakure Weirdo. If Fuguki Sukazan hadn't deliberately stumbled him and betrayed the ghost shark secretly, causing him to fail his mission, he wouldn't have embarked on the path of missing Nin. Hee, don't get me wrong, I just don't want it. It's rare to have a teammate who is more familiar and can fight on the same front. You should also see that every one of the monsters summoned by that guy is a monster among monsters, not to mention the evil gods and miser. Even the 7 or 8-year-old clay Bakuden, explosion-style kid has extraordinary strength. Once he grows up, it only takes 2 or 3 years to be able to hunt cage level. Quote. Think about it, if a group of monsters comparable to Cage level is dispatched, will the 5 major countries remain indifferent? Dewa Juzo's face changed slightly. He was different from the ghost shark. He was a member of the special Mizukage escort team. Compared with the ghost shark's calm mind, he was still too far behind. Now that I heard the honest analysis of the ghost shark, I realize the seriousness of the matter. You mean, no matter what the boss's ultimate goal is, the confrontation with the 5 major countries will never change? Dewa Juzo asked in a deep voice. Kisame Hoshigaki grinned and said, "What's the matter, are you scared?" Scared? Dewa Juzo also laughed. I'm excited, and I really want to see how far I can go. Thank you for this ration pill. Hey, you leave me some, my shark muscle, but I need to store strength, and I will be slashed from time to time, and I didn't say that I will give you all the military rations. 10 minutes later, a huge body with 4 tails flashed out of the forest, with hundreds of caddies of bananas wrapped around its tails. After returning to the basin, he glanced at Chin-Yu and said, "Don't look at this Monkey King's bananas. This taste is the most fragrant in the forest, you have to eat it and find it yourself." Quote. Or, if you call Monkey brother, I'll give you a banana. Looking at the 4 tails and sniffing the banana, with a look of intoxication on his face, Chin-Yu rolled his eyes helplessly, ignored it, and looked at the forest in front of him. Accompanied by a stomping sound resounding like chickens flying and dogs walking. Chin-Yu took out the seal scroll with his backhand and opened it instantly. Boom! A series of kitchen utensils appeared in an instant, and the ghost shark and others were slightly startled. This picnic is too particular. However, the identity of Big Brother Chin-Yu is clearly here, and they are not easy to question. In their eyes, a dignified ninja is still a young genius with unfathomable strength, and should be engrossed in ninjutsu. The so-called cooking skills, even if you touch the ceiling, it is very good to be able to fill your stomach. Boss, here comes the chicken. The 3-tailed screamed, and the dozens of pheasants trapped in the water prison were released instantly. For a time, the chickens are so beautiful. There is a feeling of a white bird facing a phoenix. Looking at this scene, Chin-Yu took a deep breath, and 9 Tomo Sharingan turned in vain. Chidori current. Endless thunder light pierced out of the body, and the raging posture instantly enveloped the flying chickens in the sky. Under a slight touch, the muscles of the pheasant were tensed, and the feathers soaked in water were instantly cleared by Chin-Yu's precise Raiden thunder style. At the same time, at one point of Chin-Yu's wrist, the long needle in the 7 ninja knives instantly fell into his hand. Under the flow of thunder and 9 Tomo Sharingan, it turned into a series of afterimages, passing quickly among dozens of chickens. The speed is so fast that it is completely using the upper body instant technique, and even the naked eye can't keep up. Dewa Juzo and Ghost Shark's cheeks kept twitching as they watched as one of the 7 dignified ninja knives fell into Chin-Yu's hands, and it was actually used to kill chickens. This undoubtedly made them almost vomit out old blood. However, seeing that Chin-Yu actually combined ninjutsu, Sharingan, and cooking skills together, it was like a cloud of water. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I would never have believed it. The pot is coming. Chin-Yu's figure suddenly stopped, and the 3 tails, who had been waiting by the side, rolled up the pot immediately. After the Raiden thunder style was scorched all over the sky, the gravy was locked, and the slightly fragrant chicken emanated, and fell directly into the clay pot. Seeing such a grand scene, Siwei, who was sighing at Banana, couldn't help but take a few more glances, showing an expression of great interest. Chapter 193_borrow the shark muscle and I will cut it. Locked in the gravy, and the chicken nuggets flowing with electric light, fell neatly into the clay pot. Looking at this scene, Chin-Yu's movements in his hands did not stop. Everything seemed to flow like a cloud, forming a Kaiden fire style spell. Kaiden fire style, fire of the palm fairy. The flame burned in the palm of the hand, and when it was pressed on the clay pot, it rushed out like a blowout. The clay pot, which was still at room temperature, boiled instantly. The chicken inside, the sizzling sound of the burning echoes continuously. The most unbearable thing is that the golden chicken fat on the top is slowly flowing out under the burning flame. Let the originally tender chicken gradually become golden brown. At the same time, Chin Yu's right hand flashed out, and the spatula in his hand quickly stirred. The 3 seasonings that have already been prepared are quickly sprinkled on the chicken. To make authentic 3-cup chicken, the essential ingredients are chan oil, sesame oil, and rice wine. Originally, only 3 cups were needed, but because there were too many chickens, Chin Yu directly enlarged the amount. The 3 main seasonings fall into the clay pot. With the sound of frying, Chin Yu's spatula quickly started frying again. The taste of ginger and green onion, mixed with the fragrance of the 3 seasonings, are perfectly combined in an instant. Chan oil is delicious, sesame oil is delicious. Stir-fry the chicken pieces with ginger and spring onions until the fragrance spreads out. At the same time, the spatula in Chin Yu's hand was spinning rapidly in the center of the clay pot, creating a vacuum. With the gravy draining, Chin Yu put the rice noodles that had already been prepared in it, and at the same time sprinkled the most important spice 9-story towers one by one. The next moment, under the dazzling eyes of everyone, the lid of the pot was snapped on. The scene of flowing clouds and flowing water is simply inexplicably pleasing to the eye. Seeing the combination of ninjutsu and cooking, especially the strange scent that permeated the air, made everyone swallow a mouthful of saliva. Siwei, the bananas you peeled are cold, so hurry up and eat them. Chin Yu glanced at it, widened his eyes, grinned and yawned. Live to remind you. Ah, Four Tails suddenly recovered, hurriedly stuffed the banana into his mouth, and said, fragrant, these bananas are really fragrant. I like to eat bananas. Siwei said so, but his eyes stared straight at the big pot of 3-cup chicken. It looks like a true fragrance law. Sanwei gave a white look, and his mind was not on the mouthpiece. He stared at the pot, and said anxiously, Boss, can this chicken be eaten? For this question, the people around are barely keeping restraint. However, in the face of this strange food in front of him, there is still a trace of inexplicable urgency. Chin Yu rolled his eyes helplessly and said, I still owe the most important step, drunken chicken. Drunk chicken. The people present were stunned. In their eyes, the chickens have been slaughtered, how can they get drunk? However, as soon as the idea came to mind, the next moment, Chin Yu saw Chin Yu take out a bottle of specially made rice wine with his backhand, and the moment the stopper opened, quickly pour down the entire bottle of rice wine along the edge of the pot lid. The sound of rice wine sizzled, and the light blue flame blazed, quickly covering the lid of the pot. The unique aroma of rice wine and the chan aroma of chicken are perfectly combined. At the same time, Chin Yu quickly sealed the edge of the pot lid with the clean towel in his hand. The aroma of rice wine and the tender chan aroma of chicken are locked in the clay pot. Looking at the magical scene, the spit-swallowing sounds of those in the field are simply endless. After boiling again for a while, the instant the steam hits the lid of the pot, Chin Yu directly removed the clean towel with his backhand. The right hand patted the side of the clay pot, and the lid of the pot instantly flipped up, revealing the golden chicken inside. Rice wine, chan ingredients, chicken, rice noodles, and the taste of the 9-story tower all come together perfectly in an instant. With a breeze passing by, the smell of drunken chicken fills the entire forest. The saliva left under the Sanwei's mouth had already gathered into a small river. As for the Four Tails, there is also a lava stream. The remaining half of the banana in his hand had already been squeezed into Chan by the wrong hand, and it was scattered on the ground like fireworks. Others have already swallowed their saliva. It's dinner. Chin Yu touched the tip of his nose helplessly. As soon as these words fell, Sanwei was the first to bear the brunt, turned into an afterimage, and opened directly. Hidan, Kakuzu, who has experience, doesn't care about his usual character. He rolled up his sleeves and joined the battlefield. Seeing the devoured scene, Biwa Juzo's face turned ashen. When I thought about it, I just listened to the ghost shark and swallowed the army grain pills to fill my stomach. Now he is directly greeting his ancestor Tenyashira. While hesitating, he saw the ghost shark lift his muscle and cut it directly to himself. This scene made Biwa Juzo's eyes light up. The shark muscle can devour chakra and stamina. In this situation, there is only one way to quickly clear the inventory in the stomach. Thinking of this, Biwa Juzo couldn't hold back his breath, and said, "Ghost shark, let's cut the muscle of the shark." "Go away, I've only cut 3 knives now, I'll lend it to you when I'm cut to the bone." Scene was chaotic all of a sudden, and with the addition of the ghost shark and Biwa Juzo, it felt like a complete storm. Only the 4 tails were eager to catch the banana peel in their hands and split their eye sockets. "Don't bananas smell good?" Chinyu smiled warmly. 4 tails instantly recovered, wishing to slap himself directly. However, the brilliance that blows out, even if you are kneeling, you have to blow it out. Seeing Chinyu's smile, the 4 tails grabbed the banana on the ground and stuffed it into his mouth together with the skin. That feeling is even stronger than cow chewing peony. "This banana is so fragrant, I won't give it to you." Siwei was chewing, and his heart burst into tears. Looking at the big piece of meat and the 3 tails of the big bowl of wine. The same-tailed beast, the treatment gap is too big. If God gave him another chance, 4 tails would definitely say no to the banana. "Come on, I have prepared your weight. If you don't come, I won't care." Chinyu dropped these words and directly joined the battle circle. Seeing this scene, the 4 tails almost burst into tears and rushed over. "Grandma's monkey, go back to eat bananas, don't rely on the tail to be more than 6. Hey, that piece of chicken is mine. Boss, hurry up and blow the monkey away. I can kill you, 10 chickens with 1 bite. Boss, I'll kill you 20. Monkey, your sister's calling the boss is more smooth than mine, and your integrity has dropped. Ghost shark, let me cut the shark muscle, and I can continue to eat." Chapter 194 _ The lineup is luxurious enough to destroy the country. 3 days later, an important piece of information was passed on to the entire ninja world. Inside the Raikage office in Kumogakure village, Killer Bee sat on the sofa, fiddling with the dagger in his hand, and glanced at Ai from time to time, with a dark and purple face. "You bastard, no news yet." I slammed the table hard with a punch, and even the tabletop cracked under the huge force, spreading out cracks like spider webs. Anbu, who was standing on both sides, suddenly changed his expression. Bang! The door was pushed open, and Dodai, the senior advisor of Kumogakure village, walked in quickly. The daimyo has issued an ultimatum. Since the 3rd generation Raikage is missing, you will succeed him as the 4th generation Raikage. Dodai took out a letter of appointment and handed it over. I, who was already impatient, snatched the appointment letter and said angrily, "What process are those stupid guys going through? It's a waste of time." "Konoha, what's the news with Sunagakure village?" Seeing the scolding eye and the Anbu ninja present, he couldn't help smacking his tongue. However, Raikage's character in the past dynasties, perhaps because of the practice of Raiden, Thunder style, is extremely popular, and they have long been used to this situation. Dodai said hesitantly, but was quickly interrupted by Ai's eyes. "Call me the 4th generation Raikage, and all the information about the ninja world, give me all the information." Looking at Ai who entered the scene in an instant, Dodai, as the teacher of the 4th generation of Raikage, could only shake his head helplessly, and took out a few intelligence scrolls with his backhand. 4th generation, Here are the information collected from the land of earth, the country of water, and Konoha. Dodai looked at the light blue scroll and said, 4th generation Mizukage, has sent an invitation. 5 days later, I will go to the Iron Country and hold the 5 Shadows talks. Quote. In the scroll, what is mentioned is only the agreement on the Armistice Agreement, and how to deal with the hidden dangers brought by Uchiha Chinyu. Having said that, Dodai paused for a while and looked at the 4th generation Reikage. HMPH, is a Uchiha Chinyu really worth such hard work? The 4th generation Reikage snorted coldly. Don't forget, our country of thunder is not like those small countries and small forbearance villages. It would be a shame to spread the word about it because of a missing nin. Yoki now, big brother, you admit that in the first battle that day, it is also the title of the shadow. Killer B, who is sitting on the sofa, suddenly rapped. However, he was quickly interrupted by the murderous gaze of the 4th generation of Reikage. Shut up, I did say so, but next time we meet, I will use the Raiden Thunder style forbidden technique to defeat him and thoroughly find out what happened to the 3 generations missing. Speaking of this, the 4th generation of Reikage suddenly burst into thunder, and the violent current splashed out, and the desktop that was originally cracked was almost shattered. 4th generation Reikage, let's go on. Looking at the 4th generation Reikage who was about to go berserk again, Dodai changed the subject with a wry smile. This is information from Konoha Shinobi Village. The 3rd generation of Hokage recommended Namikaze Minato to become the 4th generation of Hokage, and at the same time made a suggestion. I hope that the major ninja villages will not provoke Uchiha Chinyu. Don't provoke him. I can't wait to send someone to hunt him down. Reikage of the 4th generation froze for a moment, and immediately became furious again. The thunder light that had just converged a little, converged on the right hand, and slapped the table with 5 fingers. Boom! A thunderous explosion sounded, and the desk shattered. Let the huge office fall into chaos. Sir Reikage, what happened? The Anbu ninjas stationed outside rushed in quickly. However, he was quickly stopped by Dodai's detectives, and said with a wry smile, I just smashed another desk. But this is just right. If the 4th generation knows the next information, this desk still cannot escape this fate. The smoke cleared, the 4th generation Reikage was still standing upright, listening to Dodai's words. He couldn't help snorting coldly. If you have something to say, can't you finish it all at once? Next time there is nothing to smash, I can't guarantee I won't smash your head. Besides, it's not anything that deserves my fuss. Dodai looked helpless, and subconsciously opened a half-step distance and said, in the land of the earth, the encrypted information from the 4-tailed Jinchuriki column force has been cracked. Uchiha Chinyu and his party, except in the village of Kurigakure, are silent for a temporary mutiny. The murderer, Biwa Juzo, and Kisame Hoshigaki, the eccentric Kurigakure, were 4 others. Quote. Among them, there are missing nin of the land of earth, Deidara of the genius Bakuden, explosion-style clay, Sunagakure village of the country of wind, Sasori of the red sand, the genius puppet master, remnants of the cult of the Tang kingdom, Hidan, the god of immortality, and destruction Taki ninja village, reduced to a 3rd-rate power overnight, the bounty hunter undead Kukuzu. The slightly elusive voice echoed in the office, and there was no way to disperse it for a long time. The Anbu ninja's face was more or less, and there was a hint of disbelief. It can be said that in the list mentioned by Dodai, which one is not the most vicious one? Released alone, it is already a first-class S-level reward target. At the moment, it was unexpectedly gathered together by a young man. It can be said that this lineup is luxurious enough to destroy the country. Looking at the gloomy 4th generation Reikage, Dodai bit his head and opened his mouth. Roar! A thunderous roar suddenly sounded in the distance. The resulting sound waves and hurricane shattered the floor-to-ceiling glass of Reikage's office in an instant. Anbu ninjas present, including Dodai, changed dramatically. The only thing that can cause this kind of damage is that kind of existence. Sir Rakage, something is wrong. The Jinchuriki column force of the two tails has gone wild. Please hurry up for reinforcements. An Anbu ninja rushed over. The fourth generation of Rakage's face sank, and he shouted angrily, "Everyone come with me, before the new person Jinchuriki column force, before the escort arrives, seal the tailed beast again in the vengeful spirit pot." Where is she now? Right now, because of Uchiha Chinyu, the four major ninja villages have temporarily stopped fighting, but that doesn't mean they won't intervene in the middle. Don't forget, in addition to our Kumogakure village, Iwagakure village, and the 3 tails and 4 tails owned by Kurigakure village were all captured by Uchiha Chinyu. Just like Konoha Shinobi village and Sunagakure village, only one tailed beast weapon remains. They know that we desperately need new containers, and I'm afraid they will stumble in private. Speaking of this, the 4th generation Rakage's eyes flashed a ruthless look, and he said sternly, "As long as we, the Jinchuriki column force, have successfully converted our weapons, and have the Jinchuriki column force of 2 people, it is enough for me to gain enough initiative in the 5 Shadows talks. Quan, at that time, our Kumogakure village will be the strongest existence among the 5 great kingdoms." Quote. The awe-inspiring voice echoed in the office. The 4th generation Rakage raised his big hand up and shouted sharply, "All the staff are dispatched to suppress the Jinchuriki column force of the 2-tailed people. I don't care what lineup under Uchiha Chinyu is so luxurious that it can destroy the country. Next time we meet, I will let him pay the price in blood." Chapter 195 Heroes of Sunagakure Village. "Boss, where are we going?" Sanwei got out of Chinyu's backpack, lifted his cloak, and looked out thiefly. During this time, Chinyu sent out the people around him one by one in order to find out the whereabouts of the tailed beast. As for the destination, Chinyu temporarily chose a Megakure village. With the insidiousness and treacherousness of Danzo and Orochimaru, they will surely manage to escape in the Konoha Shinobi village. Next, to get the cells of the 1st generation Hokage and activate the Rinnegan, only go to a Megakure village to try it out. After all, in the original book, Danzo and Hanzo of the Salamander also colluded. Now Danzo has become a bereaved dog. If he wants to find someone to take refuge in, the remaining 4 ninja villages will never accept him. Only the so-called demigod Hanzo of the Salamander, perhaps confident enough to suppress Danzo, introduced the wolf into the village of a Megakure. As for Orochimaru, he and Danzo have a similar odor and will never cut ties. There's a tea house in front of me. Boss, let's go eat some small balls. Although it's not as delicious as the boss's, but I'm greedy. Sanwei said coquettishly. This level of effort made Chinyu speechless. Since the surrender of the 4 tails, the integrity of the 3 tails has become more limitless. Hey, you turtle, you can't be quiet, don't prevent me from sleeping. 4 tails also got their head out. Bah, dead monkey, there will be balls to eat later. Don't be greedy, or your bananas are too fragrant. 4 tails froze for a while, and after looking around for a while, her eyes lit up instantly. She twisted her body directly, and said coquettishly, "Boss, you see that I am hungry and thin, let's go and sit for a while." Looking at the 2 big-tailed beasts with no lower limit in an instant, Chinyu's cheeks twitched a few times, and then he walked helplessly to the Chaliao. "Get out of the way. Get out of the way, don't get in the way." As soon as Chinyu landed at the entrance of the Chaliao, he saw 7 or 8 ninjas fall first, still holding bulging packages. Chinyu followed them curiously and saw a familiar face first. "Lord Pakura, we have already checked the route ahead, and there is nothing out of the ordinary." The leading man, wearing a black cloak, said respectfully. Pakura nodded, took a sip of tea, and looked up at Chinyu. "This one should be a porter. After a while, it will become uneasy. You should leave first." Compared to other ninjas, Pakura is also wearing a black cloak, but it does not cover his face. Compared with the time when the 4th Ninja War was summoned in the original book, Pakura, who is currently in the Third Ninja War, is even more beautiful and beautiful. A head of orange hair, with skin like suet white jade. And the graceful figure curve is enough to become the flower of Ninja Village, who is disdainful of the contemporaries. And, in Sunagakure Village, Pakura is not an embroidered vase. Not only is he outstanding in appearance, but his strength is second only to that of Rasa, and he is also a hero of Sunagakure Village. Kurigakure many times, and made great achievements. If it weren't for Rasa's possession of alluvial gold, which was comparable to the iron sand of the 3 generations of Kazekage, it would have had a multiplier effect in suppressing Aikyo Shukaku. I am afraid that the person who will succeed the 3rd generation of Kazekage and become the 4th generation is not Rasa, but Pakura with Shikuden, scorched style. You mean, it will become very lively here? Chinyu lowered his cloak and looked around. However, I want to go now, and I'm afraid they won't either. The inexplicable words made Pakura and the others startled at first. The next moment, there was an awe-inspiring cracking sound from all directions. Whoosh whoosh. A large piece of shuriken shot out from the woods, and in the sunshine of Madara, a chilling light circulated. For a time, the entire Chaliao was shrouded in awe-inspiring murderous intent, making people feel inexplicably terrified. As for the store that was originally in the tea house, it has long since disappeared. It's an enemy attack. Pakura's face changed suddenly. She didn't expect that she would encounter an ambush on the way to Kurigakure Village to carry out a secret mission. Moreover, from the disguise of this store, it is obviously premeditated. However, as soon as she stood up, a feeling of powerlessness appeared all over her body, and dizziness struck her mind. The tea is poisonous. Pakura woke up instantly, took out an emergency antidote from his waist and stuffed it into his mouth. The hands quickly flipped to form a series of spells. Break out of the siege and fight each other. Shikuden, scorched style, steam hurricane. The voice fell, and the hot steam, like a hurricane, instantly exploded in Pakura's body. The shuriken attacking from all directions was directly blown away by most of them. Sunagakure, who was originally guarding her side, also pulled away to break through. Take care, boss, the 3 reminded anxiously. Just as they were about to make a move, they were stopped by Chinyu shaking his head. When you enter the theater, you must obey the rules and see what happens first. Chinyu flipped his right hand, took out 2 kunai, and quickly blocked. Although it was deliberately not showing real strength, and turned on Mangekyo Sharingan. Just blocking these mediocre shurikens is not a big problem. What's more, most of the ninjas who were secretly ambushed were targeting Pakura. There is no special care for the walkers who break in halfway. Sweden, water style, water dragon bullet art. A violent drink was heard in the forest. The water floating in the air was instantly evacuated and condensed into a huge water dragon of dozens of meters out of thin air. Since the land of water is close to the river and adjacent to a megakure village, it rains all year round and the climate is relatively humid. The Sweden water style ninjutsu displayed will double its power by 20 to 30% due to the terrain and climate. If the special Grandmaster Sweden water style can also double the power. It can be said that this kind of place is completely unfavorable for Pakura of Grandmaster Shikuden, scorched style. There isn't a way to home feel. Futon, wind style, Itachi Zanzanwu. Pakura's expression changed. He touched his right hand around his waist, took out a huge folding fan, and fanned out straight ahead. PFF'd. The sound of air tearing resounded suddenly. The hurricane was like a knife, instantly ripping apart everything along the way. At the same time, Kama Itachi, who was hiding in it, holding a sickle, did not try to collide with the water dragon bullet. Boom! The tens of meters of water dragons were cut off at the waist, and the water waves condensed into a huge body, pouring down directly into the Chaliao. The Chaliao, which had already been devastated by ninjutsu, collapsed under the pressure of a large number of water waves. Seeing the assassins hidden in the forest pouring out one by one, while Pakura's expression changed slightly, the corner of his eyes swept across Chinyu's body. Without the slightest hesitation, he threw out a few kunai with his backhand, then pulled away and rushed towards Chinyu. Chinyu slowly dodged the attack while distracted from watching the play. However, he never imagined that at this juncture, Pakura would be distracted and approach him. Just feeling a fragrant wind blowing towards his face, Pakura has grabbed his hand and quickly fled outside. At the same time, the left hand formed a surgical seal, and he shouted violently. Blast! Saying the word, the detonating talisman wrapped around Kuwusheng suddenly detonated. It turned into a fiery wave and rolled backwards, completely destroying the devastated Chaliao. Chapter 196. Are you looking for me? Boom! The fiery explosion wave rolled backwards, and the tea house was overturned in response. The endless water splashes disrupted the assassination ninja attack. Under the leadership of Pakura, Chinyu also escaped from the Chaliao first. However, in order to break through, it is obviously not as simple as imagined. Just as he stood firm, the awe-inspiring sound of breaking through the air could be heard incessantly. Sweden, water style, water rush. A stream of water, Jinchuriki column, spewed out without warning, and the speed was approaching in the blink of an eye. I'm sorry, I got you into the fight, stand behind me, you'll be fine. Pakura's face flushed Yuhi, seeing the attack looming in an instant. Since there is no way to escape, Pakura obviously intends to give it a shot, and his hands fly quickly, forming a series of spells. Doden, earth style, wall. The ground beneath his feet roared. The four earth walls broke out directly, forming an airtight defensive barrier around the body. At the same time, Pakura's hands flew again, forming a series of spells. Doden, earth style, the art of stealth in the earth. Although Pakura was born in Sunagakure village, as a village hero, he is still second only to Cage-level powerhouse, and he also knows a lot of ninjutsu. The ground under his feet was like a wave of water, and his body was blurred, and it sank directly into the ground below. You stay here, the hardness of this earth wall, they can't break it for a while. Pakura dropped these words and sank directly into the ground. Boom! The turbulent shock wave hit the earth wall instantly, and the huge impact force made the wall crackle. However, as Pakura said, the defensive power of this earth wall is obviously far greater than the destructive power of Sweden, water style, so it was not completely broken under the first wave of impact. It's just that, Kunzi did not stand under the dangerous wall. In the face of this wave of attacks, Chinyu had no intention of waiting to die. Little 4, Chinyu exclaimed softly, and at the same time he left a series of detonating talismans in the earth wall with his backhand. Four Tails reacted instantly. Gorilla Yuhi covered Chinyu, and the ground beneath his feet rolled away like lava. Yoden, lava style, lava road. With the help of the four-tailed Yoden, lava style, Chinyu fled dozens of meters away before showing his stature. Nine-Tomo Sharingan turned around suddenly, and the hidden enemies around him were quickly exposed. Ah! The screams came out suddenly. Chinyu instantly captured where Pakura was. As soon as she broke through the ground, she immediately appeared behind an assassinated ninja. The ninja sword in his hand stabbed diagonally into the back of an assassinated ninja like a thunderbolt. The blood splashed down, and the assassination ninjas around were instantly alerted. I hurriedly followed the sound, and the first thing I saw was a black shadow flashing out. Shikuden, scorched style, doppelganger. A group of assassinated ninjas have yet to react. Pakura in front of him swelled up with a sound, and the next moment it burst like a balloon. Those assassination ninjas who couldn't escape in time were instantly covered in fiery high-temperature steam. Accompanied by screams one after another, it was rolled back with the explosion of the sky. After everything returned to calm, only 7 or 8 severely dehydrated and burned corpses were left on the ground. 8 people. Pakura's expression froze, and she hurriedly looked at the earthen wall, and her expression changed dramatically the next moment. The hero of Sunagakure village is really powerful, but I really want to see how the person you want to protect will die in front of you. The assassination ninja laughed fiercely. Now that other ninjas have been killed, he will be punished even if he returns alive. It's dead horizontally and vertically, it's better to drag a pad. Are you looking for me? Chapter 197 _ I'm not that cheap. Where are you? What's in there? The assassination ninja's expression suddenly changed. Chinyu smiled playfully and said, of course it's a surprise. Blast me. The words fell, the magic seal in Chinyu's hand was knotted, and the detonating talisman left in the earth barrier instantly detonated. Boom. A thunderous explosion sounded, and the fiery wave of fire rolled back, directly drowning the remaining assassination ninjas. Looking at this scene, Pakura's expression changed, turned around and glanced at Chinyu, and quickly walked away. Let's go quickly. The traces of battle here will soon attract the attention of people from other forces. I don't think you want to be discovered. Hearing these intriguing words, Chinyu reluctantly touched the tip of his nose and quickly followed. It seems that the hero of Sunagakure village is still not easy to fool. The two were one after the other, and after rushing out 2 or 3 kilometers, they stopped on a small hill after confirming that they were not chasing troops. I don't know who you are, but your real identity should be a ninja, right? Pakura turned around and stared straight at Chinyu, sizing up. This move made Chinyu speechless for a moment. He thought that Pakura could see his true identity, but now it seems that women can't escape the life of celibation. However, it is precisely because of Pakura's simplicity that in the original work, Rasa was able to successfully dig a hole. It's just that for this beautiful misunderstanding, Chinyu was idle anyway, and the scene could still go on. I'm a bounty hunter, your head is quite valuable in the black market. Chinyu smiled genially. This sentence, but Kakuzu's matching lines. In this case, it is not too much to borrow it for use. Pakura laughed, put away Kuu with his backhand, took out a money bag, and threw it to Chinyu. I'm glad you are a bounty hunter. There are a million taels here. I want to hire you and escort me to Kurigakure village. Hire me? Chinyu once again questioned the character of celibation. Pakura weighed the purse in his hand, and said, aren't you afraid? I will also take off the head from your neck in the middle. Worth 30 million taels. And I don't seem to be that cheap. There was a miser by his side, and Chinyu knew a little about the rewards offered in the black market. Especially in the black market, women's bounty will be less, but every strength is very outstanding. For example, as the baby granddaughter of the first Hokage, Tsunade, one of Sanin's big fat sheep, is worth 80 million taels in the black market. As the hero of Sunagakure village, Pakura was offered a reward of 30 million, again because of her young age. If she is allowed to grow up, I am afraid it will be another Sunagakure consultant, the existence of the old woman Chio. Don't be such a miser. The million taels on me are still earned from the mission during this period of time, and I plan to donate it to the orphanage. If it's not for a more important mission this time, I'm not willing to take it out. Pakura blinked, blinking his eyes. He said, I'll add another kiss, you promise me. Is it the first kiss? Chinyu rolled his eyes helplessly. However, the current Pakura is indeed different from when she was subjected to the impure world reincarnation. At least she has no intention of revenge. Yixin is just trying to be the hero of Sunagakure village. It's not. Pakura's cheeks slightly glared, and said stubbornly, I was chaste at the age of 3, I had 5 male votes at the age of 10, and now I am 18 years old, I have no first kiss, do you want it? Don't pull it down. No, Chinyu replied angrily, I want 1,000,001 tales. Chapter 198 _ The Kid Who Played with 7 Ninja Knives. 1 or 2. Pakura was stunned for a moment, then stomped her feet. You mean, my first kiss wasn't even worth 1 or 2? This is what you said, but it has nothing to do with me. Chinyu smiled and shook his head. How about 2 kisses? You. Pakura glared at him, and as soon as he spoke, his expression changed suddenly. Looking into the distance in a hurry, I saw several fast-approaching figures. It's Kurigakure. Looking at the person's forehead guard, Pakura secretly breathed a sigh of relief, turned her head and glared at Chinyu and said, Don't worry, although you have already joined Kurigakure, I will not terminate the employment agreement. You can go with me to Kurigakure village. Take a walk. It seems that my teammates have all been killed, otherwise they would have converged here long ago. As I said, I'm not that cheap. Chinyu rolled his eyes and said, You never thought that when you were attacked and all your teammates died, people from Kurigakure village would come to you so quickly. Isn't the whole thing weird? Be careful of being sold, and still helping people with money. Off the beaten track. Pakura frowned, shook his head and said, It shouldn't be possible. The mission I performed this time is known only to the 4th generation of Kazekage. Also, this is about the safety of Sunagakure village, and Kurigakure village has the intention to reach a truce agreement, so there should be no mistakes. What's more, this is the border of the country of water. We originally made an appointment to meet here. The battle just now was so loud, it is not difficult to find our traces. Looking at Pakura, who justified what he said, Chinyu also gave up the idea of persuasion. Kurigakure, who was approaching quickly in the distance, also fell on the hillside, and the ninja who led the team looked a little familiar. Are you Pakura from Sunagakure village? The ninja led by Kurigakure village is a 16 or 17-year-old boy with sky blue hair. When speaking, 2 sharp little tigers, Kiba, are also revealed, with a huge scroll across their waists. I'm Pakura. Who is he? Pakura nodded, but found that he forgot to ask Chinyu's name. Yu Chin. Chinyu replied smoothly, Sunagakure village Chunin. Chunin. Kurigakure, who took the lead, was stunned for a moment and said, I didn't expect that such a huge battle just now, a Chunin would still survive. I'm not laughing at you, don't get me wrong. Hee, of course I won't misunderstand, but I am also more afraid of death. Maybe it is because the goddess of luck is nostalgic, so I escaped. Chinyu laughed dryly, and didn't care at all. Now, he finally thought of who this young boy with blue hair was. The ghost lamp full moon of the same family as the 2nd generation Mizukage ghost lamp. A powerful kid who claims to be able to play with 7 ninja knives. Really? Then you're really lucky. Ghost Lantern Manyu grinned, and quickly turned his attention to Pakura. Ji-Lan Manyu is the temporary captain of this operation. Are you injured? Here's a medical pill to help with recovery. He spoke. Ghost Lantern Manyu took out a black pill with his backhand and handed it to Pakura. Pakura was startled at first, then shook his head and said, Thank you for your kindness, I don't need it for the time being. Okay, let's go now. Ghost Lantern Manyu didn't insist, and after putting away the pills, he issued an order to rectify. Chinyu frowned and looked at Pakura, whose face was a little yuhi. He remembered that he was in the tea house, but he was poisoned. Although, taking the emergency antidote, it may be difficult to completely clean up the toxins. Don't you need a rest? Chinyu asked. Pakura shook his head. No, it's not far from Kurigakure village, I can still persevere. Don't forget, I am the hero of Sunagakure village. Spoke. Pakura was about to leave. However, he soon saw a terrified figure coming violently from a distance. Hersha, are you okay? Pakura looked happy. Ghost Lantern Manyu stepped aside while on guard and said, Is this also from your Sunagakure village? It seems to be quite lucky. Captain Ghost Lantern laughed. Pakura didn't care either, and hurried up to meet him. Looked slightly embarrassed, landed on the hillside. After standing firm for a while, he said with lingering fears, "Lord Pakura, I'm glad you're all right, otherwise I don't know how to explain it to the 4th generation when I go back to the village. As this Captain Ghost Lantern, thank you for your support. It's not too early now. Lord Pakura, we should leave soon, or things will change later." Pakura nodded in agreement and said, "Harsha, you're right, rather than wasting time here, it's better to finish the task first and feel more at ease. Let's go quickly." Ghost Lantern Manu had no objection to this proposal. After looking back at Chinyu, he jumped in and led the way. As it is now on the border of the water country, the village of Kurigakure serves as the gateway to the water country. According to the map, from here, it only takes about 30 minutes to reach the village of Kurigakure. Otherwise, there would never have been a Chaliao where travelers liked to stay. It's foggy. Pakura just landed on a big tree. Looking at the thickening fog around him, Lume couldn't help but pick up. "Lord Pakura, you don't have to be nervous. This is in the land of water. Near the river, it is normal for fog to appear," Hesha explained. "Also, it's not far from the entrance of Kurigakure village, right?" Ghost Lantern Manu, who took the lead, nodded and said, "It's really not far. This fog is the natural barrier of our Kurigakure village. If there is no map and markers, it will take a lot of effort and time to find the entrance to the village." Having said that, Ghost Lantern Manu looked up at the sky and fiddled with the compass in his hand, saying, "It's not too early, Lord Mizukage is also waiting. Let's enter Ninja Village first, so that we can avoid being attacked again." Quote. "Let's go." Pakura nodded in agreement, glanced at Chinyu, deliberately fell behind him, and said in a low voice, "Why didn't you speak? Weren't you sharp-eyed just now? If you go to the end of a dark road, if you don't hit the south wall and don't look back, you will soon know that this million tales, I'm really not a prostitute for nothing," Chinyu said with a smile. During the conversation between the two, Ghost Lantern Manu had already brought everyone and landed on the ground first. The original forest suddenly opened up, and the first entrance was a passage entrance opened up in the rocky Yamanaka. Crossing here, we can reach the pier, and then by means of the ferry, we can reach the village. Ghost Lantern Manu looked back at Pakura. Pakura nodded and followed quickly. However, as soon as he stepped into the entrance of the canyon, a change suddenly appeared. Chapter 199 _ I am the hunter. One step down, the white fog that filled the surroundings suddenly skyrocketed. The degree of viscosity, light ink, can almost reach the level where you can't reach your fingers. What made Pakura nervous the most was the lingering mist. Normally, as long as it is ordinary fog, it will flow with the airflow Hefeng. But the fog in front of him was completely different, as if it were still, there was no movement at all. The only thing that can cause this is the silent killing technique of the village of Kurigakure. Whizzing. Two air-breaking sounds resounded suddenly. The fog, two cold lights lit up, and when Pakura reacted, two specially made large knives slashed towards her throat in a tricky manner. The violent scene changed Pakura's expression drastically. Before he could think about it, he flipped his hands to form a series of spell marks. Shikuden, Scorch Style, Steam Blast. The fiery wave of air exploded in an instant as the magic seal fell. The two heavy swords that attacked were directly overturned by the air wave, and the two ninjas who approached at the same time also screamed and flew out. Shikuden, Scorch Style, is a special kind of Kekkei Genkei that can instantly burst into fiery high-temperature air waves. As a means of attack, it can easily burn people, and even evaporate the water in the body, turning it into a mummified existence. Seeing the two sneak attack ninjas being knocked into the air, Pakura's expression sank, and he shouted anxiously, "Ghost Lantern Moon, what the hell is going on? Don't forget, this time we are here for reconciliation." "Hesha, Yu Chin, where are you?" Seeing that the surrounding fog was getting thicker and thicker, Chinyu's words flashed through Pakura's mind. They were sold, and they helped people with money. However, Pakura wondered, who was selling her? Lord Pakura, are you okay? Harsha broke through the fog and suddenly came to Pakura's side. Looking at the man in front of him, Pakura breathed a sigh of relief. Don't worry, I'm not in serious trouble, but Kurigakure village may backtrack. We must notify the 4th generation as soon as possible, otherwise the master of Kurigakure village will take the initiative. Wait a while, I will use futon wind style with all my strength to try to break through the fog. You can find a chance to escape first. If you can, see if you can find Yuchin and take him away too. A series of orders were given orderly by Pakura. As the hero of Sunagakure village, she is still second only to cage-level powerhouses, and her adaptability on the battlefield is not comparable to that of ordinary people. Go! Pakura took a deep breath and quickly flipped his hands, seeking to display the strongest futon wind style in a very short period of time. However, just as this idea came to her mind, the awe-inspiring sound of breaking through the air from behind made her look stunned. Lord Pakura, it's okay if you're not in serious trouble, you'd better die obediently. Hesha looked grim, holding kunai in his hand, and stabbed Pakura in the back. A close distance, and in the process of casting futon wind style, Pakura wanted to defend, but there was absolutely no way to catch up. He could only watch it, it was beyond his imagination. But don't worry, your death this time is also a prerequisite for our Sunagakure village and Kurigakure village to reach a truce and reconciliation agreement, so after you die, you will also be regarded as a hero by us. Hesha roared frantically, woke up. It can be said that anyone who can personally solve a hero is a great pleasure. Looking at the rapidly dilated kunai in his pupils, Pakura was stunned. She never imagined that, as the hero of Sunagakure village, instead of dying on the battlefield, she would fall into the blade of her companion. Recalling Chinyu's strange words just now, his face became bitter. PFF'd. A sound like the tearing of cloth suddenly sounded. Hesha, who was approaching quickly, suddenly shrank his pupils, and an expression of disbelief appeared on his face. Chimpanzee Yuhi's blood appeared on his throat, and the next moment his entire neck was suddenly tightened. The entire neck was cut off at the same time, and while the blood was flying, the huge head flew in the air and fell heavily on the ground. The violent scene changed Pakura's expression drastically. Looking at kunai, who was about to be sent into his back, he fell to the ground with a clang, and he just couldn't react. In the glimpse just now, she vaguely saw a silver-colored thread passing by. In the fog not far away, Ghost Lantern Manu frowned, looked at the perception ninja beside him, and said anxiously, "How is the situation now?" However, as soon as the voice fell, a ghostly figure appeared in the endless fog. Hidden in it, the blade like a long needle revealed the fierce Kiba, cutting the throat of the perceptive ninja one step ahead. The blood splashed and the hot blood made the faces of Ghost Lantern and Kurigakure, who were present, change drastically. This is silent killing. A sharp-eyed Kurigakure was the first to lose his breath. In order to perform this mission, they have been selected, and each of them is an elite assassin. But compared with the Kurigakure 7 people, Biwa Juzo, who presided over the assassination, is obviously still far behind. Kurigakure killing technique, which was their barrier, turned out to be someone else's means. The huge gap between the front and rear is a bit too big. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they would never have believed it. Don't mess around, I don't believe that this person will be better than us in the Kurigakure killing technique. Don't forget that we are the hunters. Ghostlight Manu's face sank, and he shouted anxiously. This time the task is related to the revitalization of their Ghost Lamp clan. Once it fails, I am afraid that even his younger brother, Gui Deng Shuiyu, will not be able to graduate in the blood fog. Thinking of the 4 generations of Mizukage, vigorous and resolute means, Ghost Lantern Manu's spine is still chilled. Do it. Ghost Deng Manu expelled the cluttered thoughts in his mind, and began to drink violently. As soon as the voice fell, the dozen or so Kurigakure surrounding him set off instantly. In the fog, they are like a duck in water. As a Kurigakure, they firmly believe that no matter how superb the opponent's strength is, there is still no way to win under the absolute suppression of the number of people. However, this idea just popped into my mind. They just rushed out 7 or 8 steps, and the whole person seemed to have hit an invisible barrier. With a look of disbelief on his face, his pupils shrank suddenly as he looked at the murderous intent hidden in the mist. I'm sorry, I'm the hidden hunter. The playful voice came out suddenly. The next moment, the sound of the torn cloth resounded in the endless fog. Ninja Long Needle Sewing Spider. By Wong Wong, the steel wire like a sharp blade, instantly tightened in the endless fog. Kurigakure, a dozen meters away, was caught off guard and was cut in two. The blood splattered, like spraying Izumi, and it was shocking to see. Ghost Lantern Manu's expression changed drastically in an instant. Chapter 200_. The huge scene fell into a dead silence in an instant. The ghost lamp full moon looked at the terrifying scene in front of him, and his face was full of disbelief. This completely subverted his cognition. At the critical moment just now, if it weren't for the years of experience in life and death battles, he made a conditioned reflex response and paused for 2 or 3 seconds. I'm afraid, now waiting for him is the same head. Looking at the scene in front of him, there is also a glimpse of silk thread. He suddenly remembered something important, the 7 ninja swords that were handed down in the village of Kurigakure. But with the fall of the previous ninja swordsman, it fell into the hands of missing Nin Biwa Juzo and Kisame Hoshigaki. But every one of the Kurigakure is only good at one of the ninja swords. Biwa Juzo is good at beheading swords, and Kisame Hoshigaki also inherited shark muscles. But the person who is hiding in the endless fog at the moment is using a long needle. What Kuriarer Kushimaru is good at among the 7 people, long knife and needle. What I used just now was the long sword ninja technique, the spider seam. Hide the chakra-laden steel wire in the mist. Once it is displayed, it is like a spider weaving a web, waiting for an opportunity to hunt and kill, making it hard to guard against. However, this approach may be useful for others. But for the ghost lanterns with hydration bodies, it is not a problem to destroy them. The messy thoughts quickly passed through his mind. Ghost Lamp Manu quickly flipped his hands, and a series of spells fell instantly. Sweden Water Style Great Waterfall Technique. Quote. The violent water waves surged out under the feet, and at the moment when the hands were folded, it spewed up like a waterfall. The next moment, the wave turned into a rolling wave and rolled away, forming a huge impact. The violent scene made Pakura's face change drastically. His feet were attached to chakra, and while he was barely standing still, his hands fluttered and formed a large number of spell marks. The next moment, he suddenly folded and roared in anger. Futon Wind Style Gale Breakthrough. This is the strongest Futon Wind Style ninjutsu she can use, and a small amount of Shikuden Scorch Style is added to make the rolled-up storm more powerful. It can effectively evaporate the moisture in the air and cause a small amount of burns at the same time. A fiery hurricane rolled back with Pakura as the center. In the blink of an eye, a violent air wave was formed, which instantly rolled the surrounding fog and quickly spread around. At the same time, with the help of perception ninjutsu, Pakura's eyes swept across the field quickly. When he saw the corpses everywhere, Chinyu, who was holding a long needle, was stunned for a moment, and the next moment he saw countless waves of water converging under Chinyu's feet. Kid, give me death. Ghost Lantern Manu roared angrily. The body that displayed the hydration technique, like a sky curtain, headed under Chinyu's cover. The violent scene made Pakura's face change drastically. She had already vaguely guessed what happened just now, and that the killing of Kurigakure was related to Chinyu. Just seeing the ghost lamp full moon to use the hydration technique and intending to trap Chinyu, he was still in a hurry. Yu-chin, be careful. Pakura shouted urgently, threw out several shuriken with his backhand, and attacked the ghost lamp full moon. However, as soon as the shuriken fell, it was like a rock sinking into the sea, only splashing a little wave, and it didn't play the slightest role at all. Give me death. The ghost lamp full moon roared fiercely, and the liquefied body shrouded Chinyu head on like a big net. Boom. With the help of the body of hydration, Ghost Lantern Manu's body instantly rose to 7 or 8 meters, like a hill. Most importantly, once trapped in water, there will be an illusion of being stuck in a water prison and unable to move. Futon, wind style, Itachi Zansanwu. Pakura's expression changed, and he hurriedly pulled out the folding fan from his waist and threw it out suddenly. Together with the strong wind, Itachi, who was hidden in the hurricane, instantly appeared behind the ghost lamp full moon. The sickle held in his hand slashed directly at the back of the ghost's head at a tricky angle. PFF'd. The water splashed, and the seemingly incomparable sickle cut through the water curtain in an instant. However, in the face of this blow, Ghost Lantern Manu turned his neck and looked behind him like a person with nothing to do. He didn't forget to grin and sneer. Pakura, this attack, for me, has no effect at all, you just watch him suffocate to death, and let me kill you. Only in this way will you be able to become the hero who rescued the village of Sunagakure. Pakura's face turned pale all of a sudden, and Itachi had already disappeared out of thin air after he missed a hit. Most importantly, by now, she had figured out what the secret mission was that Rasa was unwilling to reveal. His life for a truce between Sunagakure and Kurigakure villages. I said, if you add a thunder, you should be very sour. A playful voice came out suddenly. Ghost Lantern Moon and Pakura's expressions froze, and they hurriedly followed the sound. Trapped in a water dungeon, he should be unable to speak, and will gradually die in drowning. However, now Chinyu, like a person with nothing to do, stood quietly in the water and formed a magic seal with his backhand. Raiden Thunder Style Kirin. Boom. Rolling thunder suddenly resounded. The backlog of fog in the sky dissipated like a frightened bird. The next moment, the purple thunder light, like a punishment from the sky, turned into a Kirin and fell from the sky. The fast-moving gesture makes people feel caught off guard. 1/1000th of the speed of light makes it completely impossible to hide. Kirin only had time to flash a thought in his mind. Fuck, is this a catastrophe? Boom. The endless thunder light rolled back, and the swooping posture caused the entire canyon to shake. The splashing thunder light, like a horned dragon, shattered a large piece of mountain rock. One after another shocking cracks quickly spread around. Pakura was also shocked by this amazing scene in front of her. The only thing that made her happy was that this shocking blow was not locked on her body. Taking advantage of this chance to breathe, while withdrawing and retreating, his hands flew and formed a series of spell marks. Doden Earth Style Wall. One after another earth wall broke out quickly, forming 5 layers in an instant. For a ninja from Sunagakure village, it is remarkable to be able to condense 3 layers of earth walls in an instant. However, in the face of the thunderbolts that burst out violently like a horned dragon, the earth wall was instantly pierced. 1, 2, 3, 4. Feeling that the chakra condensed in the earth wall was defeated, when the crisp cracking sound came out. The 5th layer of earth walls burst into cracks like spider webs in an instant. Seeing that indestructible thunder, Pakura smiled sadly. He raised his hands subconsciously, delusionally blocking the blow. Boom. The thunder was bursting, and the thunder rolled away. The long-awaited death didn't come, and when Pakura was taken aback, he hurriedly looked up.